Origin
coffee.
The reason, Kevin, that I like to say origin is because you have to get people away from the idea that, say, if you have a Columbia coffee, that it's a product of Columbia and it's like a soda pop or something that's been formulated, instead of something living coming out of the place and the ground, etc.
Yes, I think you're the person who said words matter.
It's a good showing, I must say, and I have my preferences. So we have 3 washed coffees, A, B, and C, and then 2 naturals, D and E. And I think the naturals are probably easier to talk about than the washed, because the washed are they're all kind of balanced, clean cups. Yeah. But I have my preference. For me, the hard ones are the washed coffees because they're pretty similar. You have A that's beautifully balanced. After tasting the naturals, it seems a little subdued.
It's lighter.
But it didn't taste subdued when I first came to it. What's so striking about B is how sweet it is. It's just naturally very sweet. It doesn't have a lot of going on in it, but it certainly is a very, very attractive cup as a black coffee. I can't imagine that would offend anybody. I can't imagine somebody drinking B and saying, "Oh, I have to put some milk or cream in this."
Yeah, to save it.
It just is such a lovely balanced cup. C, boy, that has that Bourbon character. Kevin, this is perfect representative. I mean, these 3 coffees, you have 2 coffees that purport to be one of them purports to be from a Bourbon derived variety, but I don't get it in the cup. But boy, C, that's the red Bourbon, right?
It is.
That is a classic Bourbon cup. Yeah, I'd like to just sort of freeze it and put it somewhere every time I wanted to remind myself of what Bourbon can taste like.
I think you can do that. Yeah.
You taste that?
Oh, yeah.
That twist? Yeah. Oh, boy. So that has to be my favorite, even though I have to really give it to the other 2 cups. These are 3 really fine washed coffees. I think B, which I was a little lukewarm about, perhaps even a little critical about it, I think is fine now. I mean, it's fine in the sense that it has a virtue, which is its great sweetness.
That is a wonderful coffee. First one I found, too.
Grumpy is A, right?
Grumpy is A, yes.
Of these 3, I think they all have virtues, the 3, A, B, and C. The washed coffees, they all have virtues, but virtue is most interesting for me with C, the Bourbon, and the first one is, I think, A is my favorite as a classic cup, and B has nice sweetness.
This is the 3 washed, and then we have the 2 easiest because they're the naturals.
Yeah, the cup is more distinctive.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure about that now.
That's what happens when they cool, you start getting a different balance.
Of those 3 washed coffees, Kevin, how you would order them?
I'm torn between these 2. I've had, I just think...
You're talking about A and C.
A and C. I'm torn between which one would be my first choice. Man, this really had a powerful introduction to both my nose and my mouth. And then this one is like a classic cup as well. Let's put it this way, they're both great coffees. And then this one was, this is not to, every time I look at them and I go back and I taste it, any of these 3 are fine with me as far as coffees. I really didn't taste a coffee that I wouldn't want to drink again.
I don't think it's fair to try to order them. It's kind of real apples and oranges comparison. I'd probably put the dry natural, the one that's not very alcoholic, I'd probably put that last. I'd probably put low-key sweet washed. I'm sorry, the poor naturals got beat up on this round for me. The more I think about it, I'm going to put the quiet natural last in 5th place, and I put the quiet natural as D, and then I put E, which is the more pungent, the more alcoholic natural. I put that in 4th place.
Well, it's distinctive.
And then right next to it, really, a very different cup would be the sweet washed coffee, which is B, the red Bourbon, C first, and the very, very nice classic grumpy in 2nd place. Does that look good to you, or do you have a different?
I'm right with you on that, except, these two I'm not as sure about, but this is the narrowest range I think we've ever had. In that any of these coffees I'd be happy to drink again.
Yeah.
They're all really good coffees. I have to say I'm kind of surprised the roasters weren't even so enthused.
I wonder why that might be. Maybe I just hang out with too many Knowledgeville coffee insiders.
Well, that's kind of why I asked you to do the show.
Yeah, They generally acknowledge that El Salvador, has these distinctive varieties. The two characteristics, I'm speaking for insiders, I don't know. I can't speak for all of them, but 2 or 3 come to mind. I think the first thing they would say would be that tends to be a very well-prepared cup.
Yes.
That the coffees tend to be well, no matter what the process. And the washed coffees are particularly well-prepared and clean. And that the varieties stand out. You can taste the variety because the washed process is so clean. Now, the naturals is something new for El Salvador, and maybe 5 years ago, you didn't get many good naturals from El Salvador because they were just learning. But I think they've learned. And these 2 cups are very interesting naturals, and I think it indicates that the industry has figured out naturals.
To imagine the collective knowledge they have about how to grow coffee and how to process it. It's awesome, and I'm tasting this in the cups. If someone wants an under-the-radar coffee that is just, really surprisingly good, I really consider this kind of a breakthrough moment for me.
I'm glad on behalf of El Salvador because they've gone through a lot. The country and the producer have gone through a lot of shit over the years.
I'm stay at peace, guys. These are great coffees.
Well, I'm ready to call it a cupping.
I think we've given people 5 coffees that they should consider tasting. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more shows like this.